I don't want to hurt nobody, but there's something that I must confess. I don't see nothing wrong with a little bump and grind.
BBC6 Music.
Closer to the music that matters.
Steve Show, BBC6 Music with me, Stephen Merchant, and I know there you were singing along, Rufus, to Dogs Die in Hot Cars, I Love You Because I Have To. I have disappointing news that, according to their MySpace page, Dogs Die in Hot Cars have gone their separate ways, and there will not be a second album.
Oh.
And so, there we are.
That is a disappointment,
Yes,
Steve. You could have broken that to me off air.
I know, but I thought I should share it with the listeners as well. I imagine there's any number of Dog Die in Hot Cars fans out there weeping now into their Sunday roasts. They're having it late for some reason, I don't know why. And so anyway, yes, here we are back, the Steve Show BBC6 Music with me, and we were talking earlier about the tabloid expose there on the News of the World, Keris exposing her posterior. And I've, of course, made it into tabloid land of late. Anyone who's picked up the recent copy of Heat magazine, let's hope they voted. I don't know if you've seen this, Harry. I imagine you're a man who likes to spend £1.65 to see some stars without makeup. And there we are. It's the grand final, and there are 4 faces there in Heat magazine's Weird Crush 2008 Heat magazine's Weird Crush grand final. The other contenders, so myself, I mean, why I have to be in the Weird Crush section? Why it couldn't just be tall people crushes or people with glasses crush? The other people include Matthew Wright from The Right Stuff, who is, I think he's creepy.
Yeah.
He looks like the sort of guy. I know this is obviously no reflection of Matthew Wright, but he looks like the sort of bloke who's quite charming, sort of when you meet him publicly, but you later discover he beats his wife. Do you know what I mean? He's got that look about him. I'm not saying Matthew Wright does.
He doesn't do that.
He doesn't do that. He doesn't do that, but I'm saying he's got that look.
Yeah.
about him,
I think he's facially grotesque. I think there's something actually wrong with his face, because it doesn't seem to move. I mean, look at it. Oh,
I've got a bit of a weird crush on him. I don't mind telling you.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you vote?
I haven't voted. No, I didn't know about this, but I'm getting on the phone lines as soon as the show's over.
Well, I'm afraid you can't, because frustratingly, I only found out about this late in the day, so all entries must be in by 5 p.m. on Wednesday, it says. So,
Wednesday just gone.
Wednesday just gone, so...
Dan, you only like him because he looks like that bloke who used to beat you up.
Anyway, moving on.
Other contenders, alongside myself and Righty, include Anton Dubeck from Strictly Come Dancing, who...
he looks a bit like Rob Brydon.
He looks exactly like Rob Brydon, but he seems to have a constant fixed grin. Have you noticed, Anton Dubeck? I don't think he ever is not smiling. There's obviously me, and then there's also James May from Top Gear, the shaggy-haired guy, who always looks to me like he not only test drives cars, but sleeps in a car. And there's me as well. And I mean, I don't know, I'd like to think it was a shoo-in, frankly. I mean, I don't know, Sammy, you're a lady. Apparently, according to yourself, turned 21. Of those 4 faces there, which one would you vote for? Be honest, be brutal. I can handle it, just...
See, now, I'd say, to be completely hand-on-heart honest, you're the most good-looking of the 4.
Yeah, right.
I've got a soft spot for James May. I think he's probably my weird crush. There's just something really sweet and cuddly about him, and I don't know, and he won't run on television, and he's a respectable gent, and I'd probably go James May.
But should a man who's clearly, approaching his 50s be having hair like that?
But this is the thing, it's a weird crush.
Yeah.
And I think you're more acceptable and shouldn't be on the list.
Thank you very much indeed, at long last. She, for the first time in all this 6 months that she's been in the show, has actually proven her worth by making that claim, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
When do we hear the result?
I don't know. I'm assuming the results will come out any minute. I'm
You
sure
must be
there'll
on tenterhooks.
I'm on tenterhooks, and of course there'll be I'm assuming some kind of grand ceremony where the 4 of us are lined up in bathing costumes. It'd be like Miss World. And if someone asked me, someone asked me, why did you put yourself in for it? I didn't put myself in for it. I was just chosen. I didn't. What will I do if I win this title? Anyway, there we are. So, Mr. Sad, I'm hoping that some listeners have voted for me, but who knows? Apparently, James May is the most attractive. That's what we've discovered.
No, he's the most weird.
No, well, okay,
that's fine.
All right.
Don't worry about it.
I'd say that Righty was the weirdest. Look at him. Crazy man.
Yeah, but he couldn't have a crush on him.
I'll show you the back of my hand. Is the sort of thing a man who looks like him might say. Okay, so we have to move on, because it's all about new music on this show. And of course, new music on this show is not necessarily about music that has just been released. It's about songs that you're unfamiliar with, music that is new to you. Harry, what have you got for me?
Well, I'm playing a track this week by a band called Mercyland, and this is going to qualify as new music for a lot of people, because I went to do a bit of research this morning on them. I could only find 3 references to them on the internet, so they kind of disappeared without a trace. They came out of the Athens, Georgia scene in the mid-80s. Everyone always thinks of R.E.M. Coming out of that scene, but they always overlook the Barbra Barbecue Killers, and Porn Orchard as well. You know, it was a
I think
bubbling.
if Disneyland did a red light district, there would be a porn orchard.
Go scrumping. But yeah, so anyway, Mercyland with the band. Lead singer was David Barb, who went on to become the bassist in Sugar. This track is called Guessing Time Is Gone.
That's sloppy work by everyone concerned, isn't it? Really sloppy work that I've got to go and fetch Harry from the latrines. Surely pay attention to the fact that that song was under a minute and a half.
It's basic of broadcasting, Steve. Coming out of the top of the hour, play a long song, allow the presenters to go and have a slash.
Well, you know, since when are you calling yourself a presenter?
All right, the oiks, the hired gigglers.
The reason I've ushered you back in here so swiftly is, of course, it's time for your musical choice. So that's why I was so panicked.
Oh, it's all exciting. I really should have looked at the script, shouldn't I?
You're so sloppy.
Yeah.
Think of the money you're earning.
I was working out this week. It's actually worth more to me to stay at home. Well, my tune today, it's not as obscure as I wish it would have been, having played Del Amici earlier, but it's a boring cliche, Steve, about bands having great B-sides.
Yes.
You know? And why do bands do it? Because it's never a band's legacy. You know, you never see any 100 greatest B-sides lists.
Sure.
You know, if Oasis had have saved some of their early B-sides, then Be Here Now wouldn't have been a steaming pile of cack. That said, the Boo Radleys had a lot of great B-sides, and this track that I've picked today is called Vote You. It was on the flip side of Ride the Tiger, which is akin to having a Rembrandt hanging on the back of your bedroom door, while above the mantelpiece proudly hangs that picture of a lady tennis player scratching her arse.
Sure. Let's hear it. Harry's choice this week, a Boo Radley's B-side, Vote You. Where can people find that if they should wish to find it?
Well, it was on the B-side of Ride the Tiger, but I'm not sure where you'd find it now. Perhaps go around some old second-hand record shops.
Oh, sloppy. I'd like to have seen you research that prior to coming in. Hey, you know, you mentioned 100 greatest B-sides. I can't help but feel that's some kind of Six Music bank holiday special just waiting to happen, isn't it?
Let's do it.
Copyright, trademark Harry. Nice work.
Cheers.
Okay, so as I said before, I wanted to make the show a little bit more culturally upmarket. We have been dumbing down of recent months since we began in January. And one of the things that I always feel is a huge gap in my cultural life is, of course, books. And so, in an effort to educate you, the listeners, and us here in the studio, we're going to have some kind of book slot. For the first time only, we've got a jingle. Have a listen. Listen to that aggression. Brilliant. That's great, because that's adrenalised the youth of today now who are listening. You know, they would never have thought.
I really feel like reading a book.
Yeah, you do, don't you? You know, and they've put down their PlayStations and whatnot, and they're all primed. And so I welcome a friend of mine, and also a former Booker long list,
that's
and
true,
also a novelist as well. Matt Thorne, please welcome Matt. Yeah, you think this is the one that I should go for?
No, I've thought this carefully. I've got
thought
a
this
book
through
for each of you.
Wow, each of the gang is okay, nice. So who would
Should we start with Harry?
Yeah, why not?
Well, I think I know you're going to think it's a bit unusual. I think what I said about The Gathering, that it's not Harry's sort of thing, but there is lots of sex in it.
Okay.
So I think that one's for Harry.
Yeah, pretty.
Well, I don't know what it is about you, Harry, particularly, and what he knows of you that would sex would.
Everyone likes a bit of raunch, don't they?
It's true.
Every what is it, Matt? 75 pages is the rule, isn't it? Throwing a bit of raunch.
Well, there's every 7 pages in this one, so
Really?
I think you'd like it.
Oh, fantastic! It's gonna be trouble on the train.
Goodness me. Okay, so Harry's happy. He's got something to read.
Yeah.
What about Rufus? He's super posh, as you know. I mean,
well, I think Ian McEwan's fairly posh as well, so I think On Chesil Beach is a book for him. Also, it's set in 1962, and I imagine that's a period that Rufus lives in on a daily basis.
This idea that because I'm posh, various attributes could be, like, obviously Rufus likes living in the 60s. Obviously Rufus likes wearing tweed. What? But I'm a big McEwan fan, so thanks for the recommendation.
There you go. He doesn't need the recommendation.
now Sammy's a lady, so is there something that's about makeup and stuff?
Well, actually, I've chosen an 800-page novel for Sammy,
Really?
which may sound a bit ambitious, but it's by Nicola Barker. It's called Darkman's, and Nicola Barker's a big indie music fan. She's into her Bonnie Prince Billy, and
Right.
and so this is a book. It's quite a weird book. It's set in Norfolk. It's the third visionary narrative of the Thames Gateway, as she describes it. But there's a lot of stuff about being in a supermarket, which you mentioned earlier.
Oh, then I love it. That's fine.
Right, that's
my
fine.
boot.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
That's actually quite handy, 800 pages, because I do 7 hours on average on a train just doing the show, because I come down 3.5-ish hours and then go home 3.5-ish hours, so that might be perfect.
Do you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking we should get you to read these books.
By next
Yeah.
week.
Well, ideally,
Review.
yeah. Well, I mean, why not? It's Richard and Julie's book club has become a phenomenon, hasn't it? You know, they single-handedly now can make books top sellers. You know, obviously we've got none of that power, but it might fill up 5 minutes next week. So why not? Okay, so Harry, you're all set for the erotic The Gathering.
Yeah, sounds great.
You've only got a couple of pages to read, Super
right
Posh,
with
and that's great. And so, what about me?
Well, the book I've got for you is about a man who thinks he's a monkey after an industrial accident.
Was this on the bucket list?
Yeah, apparently. He walks around. It's called Animals People by Indra Sinha, and it's about a man who's he's caught in an industrial disaster, loses all his faculties, and wanders around with a giant erection. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, a giant erection, and worries about this for most of the book. So maybe there's some stuff
Not
for you there.
another book about a monkey man with a giant erection.
Can we not all read that one? That sounds so much more fun.
That's my favourite.
Have you read it?
Yeah,
Is it good?
It's good.
Well,
Along
you-
with the McEwen, they're both good.
It almost sounds like it defies description. Is it a meditation on what that might be like? Or
It's
is it-
mainly anger from the monkey man.
Right. It almost sounds like it could be sort of a superhero book. You know, he's got caught in an industrial. You know, he falls into a vat
So
of
you're
something.
loving it.
like
I
that.
knew it'd be right for you.
Yeah. How many pictures?
No pictures, unfortunately.
Okay, all right. And I'm very excited. What's that one called?
It's called Animals People because he calls himself Animal.
Right.
Like
Okay.
the Muppets, man.
Sure. Again, you really know all the buzzwords to get me reading books. Okay, well, listen, we'll play a tune that's vaguely book related, and we'll come back. We'll talk to Matt some more. Here's the book I haven't read by Lamb Chop. It's like it's been thought through, people. In case you're a newcomer to the show, the far corner there. Now we discover we're panning this, right? So out of what speaker could you hear Harry now?
Left.
Out of the left,
and
out of the left bit. What do you mean left and a bit of the right? Can we just have him all left? All left, fully left.
Oh, no.
Right. So if you're listening in Super Stereo, then you've got Harry there in the far left,
Hello.
and then is that? I'm not
Weird.
listening on
That's
the.
proper weird.
That's really good. And so where's Tiny Dan?
Dan's a bit further to the middle from there.
Yeah, I'm mostly left a little bit right.
Can you make him really low on the left? So it's as though he's barely listening. He's barely talking into the speaker.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
And then where's Super Posh Rufus? Is he right in the middle?
No, you're right in the middle.
I'm right in the middle, am I?
He's a little bit to the right.
So if I talk now, then here I am. I'm on your right hand side, listeners.
Wow, this is
Hello.
extraordinary. This is amazing.
It's like tomorrow's world.
It is. I'm so pleased that in 2007 we're just discovering the joys of stereo. And then where's Sammy?
Where am I? Oh, right, I'm right, I'm right.
Wow, this is brilliant. We're so excited about this. And anyone listening on a little mono thing has got no excitement.
idea.
How the
thing
thrills
is,
are.
It doesn't make sense because I'm hearing people now, but they're not where I'm hearing them.
No.
I'm looking at Sammy and she's not where I'm hearing her.
Calm down, mate. Don't ruin the majesty. This is brilliant. This is like a Pink Floyd album come to life. And so, anyway, interesting. Will you continue it without me? It'll still be called The Steve Show, and you'll refer to me occasionally as they did with Taggart. Famously, Taggart, of course, the man who played him died, and for some reason, bizarrely, they carried on, which has endlessly confused me. As a young kid, I didn't understand. But would you be continuing the show?
Well, I think we could do it quite happily, but I'm looking at Jude. She's looking a little bit nervous at the thought of it.
A lot of Steve Show fans are saying that the show is bigger than you now, Steve.
Are they? I don't think I've heard a single Steve Show. Well, firstly, I've never heard from a Steve Show fan, but certainly I can't imagine that's the case.
Well, Facebook's alive with this sort of controversy.
Oh,
You're such a shameless
Why have you brought up
self-promoter.
Facebook?
I don't know.
Oh,
Just saying, if the show, if you were to, throw in the microphone stand after, a year or so, a couple of years.
Yeah, just announce on air a sort of DLT or Bates or whoever it was.
Could be that. Could be a mutiny. I don't know.
Sure,
One or the other.
Okay, all right.
The show's got legs.
But why might... I mean, firstly, why did you bring up Facebook? But it seems a strange thing to mention. I'm not particularly familiar
Apropos
with...
of nothing.
Well, exactly. I'm not particularly familiar with Facebook. I don't use Facebook. Why would you mention it?
Yeah, well, in fact, I listen to new music constantly, Steve, as you know. MySpace and Facebook are the two best places to get...
To source new music.
two of the best.
Ruth,
Pitchfork and
didn't you encourage a friend of yours to set up a fan group for you on Facebook?
That's untrue. That's untrue.
Yeah, but is it?
Okay, so let's just get to the bottom of this, because I have been notified through various sources that there is apparently some kind of super posh Rufus fan site on MySpace.
Yeah, this has happened.
Facebook, sorry, I could get the two confused. I've investigated it.
Have you?
I looked at it. I was
Have you
pleased to see no, I haven't joined, because I don't actually use it. I was just looking here. It says you have great verbal dexterity. And This is what I thought was. I thought this summed you up brilliantly. A real Catholicism of taste in everything. A real Catholicism of taste, which I dare to. Which I mean, I don't want to put words
Yeah.
into their mouth. I suspect. Does that mean conservative?
I don't know.
Does that mean that you're conservative in taste?
I'm
A
not
show that's as rock and roll as this,
Yeah.
a station that's as rock and roll and is
Yeah.
obsessed with newness
Yeah.
in all its forms.
Yeah.
That someone like you, dare I say it, a square, and I'm citing your own fans there, not
He's up to 20 members.
20 members. So,
hang on, 21, 22. People are joining as we speak.
are they?
I don't know,
Are they
Clearly
lining
not.
up?
23.
Harry, can you give information? Should people wish to become a fan of Super Posh Rufus, how would they do it?
Well, if you're young and impressionable and you use Facebook, it's a group called Super Posh Rufus of Stephen Merchant's Six Music radio show fame fan club. But if you just type Super Posh Rufus and search, you'll find his wizened features on there.
Yeah. This was nothing to do with me. This was not my idea. I didn't know anything about it until my friend Elliot asked me to join.
Right.
And I said, no, it'd be a bit like clapping at your own curtain call or speaking at your own funeral.
Of having seen you in a play, I know you do both. Not speaking at your own funeral, I've never seen
No.
that. No, but how do we know that the people on there aren't friends of yours? How do we know they're complete? It only counts, surely, if they're complete strangers.
Absolutely. I know a few of them.
So you do know
I
a
can see
few
my
of them.
fiancée on there.
So your fiance's on there.
Yeah, she's on
presumably many of your relatives.
I don't recognise any of these. They were going
Most
through the
of
names
these
now. I
pictures
don't
are
recognise
of-
any of those people.
Most of
Honestly,
these pictures are of people shooting small animals. You must know them all.
Of course.
I don't know who any of those people are. I promise you.
And does it?
Sam
And
Firth, I know.
Harry, I mean, you're looking
at.
at the site now. Does it link? Does it link to things such as bring back fox hunting?
Absolutely.
.com.
Yeah, gas the poor. That sort of
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sure. Let me just throw this question to the two non-Rufuses here on the mics. Sammy, you're injured, you're hurt, you're hurting. How are you feeling? Is there a Sammy fan site?
No, but I'm all right with that.
You don't mind?
I don't mind, no.
Do you
'cause
feel
I don't
gutted?
I don't want the verbal tirade from you that Rufus just got. I'm happy being unloved. That's
Well,
fine.
obviously, much of my anger is directed at the fact that I believe on there they do say, surely it's only a matter of time before he has his own show.
Oh, didn't say that.
Well, they insinuate as much, saying that you're a natural for radio, but, and this is, I think I quote, too good looking for radio. Something which naturally stuck in my craw.
Related group, by the way, Henry V.
Brilliant. Okay, well, Harry, just finally your verdict on this. From their 1996 debut album, Beautiful Freak, that's Eels and Novocaine for the Soul, on the Steve Show, BBC6 Music, with me, Stephen Merchant, and my cronies. Now, we should just take care of a little bit of business. Last week, we had novelist Matt Thorne in the studio. He was talking to us about recent Booker Prize nominees, and he assigned homework to us all. We each had to take a book and read it and offer a little book report this week. I'm looking forward to the book reviews. I've been reading Animals People by Indra Sunny. You can see it here. And excellent it is too, as well. And I can give you a full breakdown of that in a moment. But, prior to that, I look forward to... Now, Harry, what was the book that you were recommended?
It was a book by someone called Anne Enright. I think it actually won the Booker.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember the title now.
Sure, what do you make of it?
Well, the thing is, Steve, I work in a bank. I work quite long hours. I've got quite a pressurised job, you see.
Sure, well, you need to unwind with a good book, I'd have thought.
Well, you'd have thought that, but I can't unwind. I need the numbers spinning around my brain. Otherwise, the next day I'm useless.
Well, that sounds insane. I mean,
Well,
what kind of a man can't take a little breather to stimulate the mind in other ways?
What can I say? I'm an animal. I need numbers and words. You see, don't really do it for me. But I read a review of the book and it said it was incredibly depressing and harrowing.
Yeah.
But the review also said it's got the best last sentence of any novel that this reviewer had ever read. So I sent one of my minions out at lunchtime. I can't go out at lunchtime to take a picture on their phone of the last sentence and text it to me. So I've read the last sentence. Doesn't look that good.
Well, hang
so
on.
I'm guessing the rest of the book wasn't that great.
Let me just rewind for a second because I'm not sure I'm following everything. Are you telling me you haven't read the book?
I've not read the book.
Right. Okay. You could have come and you could have mentioned that perhaps a bit quicker instead of offering this lame excuse about that you like numbers or something. I mean, we're all busy. We've all got busy lives, but you have made a commitment to this show, and apparently you're not willing to fulfil those commitments.
Yeah.
So that just seems a bit slack.
What have you done this week?
Busy. I mean, busy. one of the things I've been doing is reading this book, Animals, People by Indra Sinha, because that was obviously a key element of the show. But I'm right, if you've not read the book, fine, I'll turn to Sammy, get her views on the book that she's read. What was the book that you were given, Sammy?
I can't remember.
Sorry, what do you mean you can't remember? Because you just look in your bag, you must have the book with you, because you've been reading it presumably on the train on that sort of long journey you get every week from Newcastle. So what have you... What do you make of the book? You can't remember the title, but what did you make of it?
It was really big.
Right.
What happened, Steve, right?
So hang on, let's just cut to the chase. Did you read the book or not?
Right, what happened?
Because let me just point this out, right? I seem to remember that some months ago, right, you were sat up in Newcastle, you'd not done much radio, you'd not really been involved, and then you won a little competition where we chose you, we paid for you to come down to London and here and hang out with the big boys, the big girls of the BBC, alright, in a building which has seen the likes of Terry Wogan, Mr. Christopher Evans, Mr. Jonathan Ross walk through the doors. I believe earlier in the building, Kylie Minogue was here, as was Doctor Who David Tennant. That's what I saw as I came in on the sheet of paper. So that's just some of the big wigs who were here. And yet, amazingly, it seems only a few months later, you cannot even find the time to read the book you have been assigned for the show, which is now making you one of Facebook's contributors. All right, so what's the story?
Right, what happened was, my tooth got ripped out on Monday, so I was convalescing until Wednesday afternoon.
Convalescing sounds like time to read a book.
You'd think. So, I went out with my mum on Wednesday. We went to a really big bookstore, and I could only remember the name of the book that I was meant to read, and I picked it up, and it was a beast. It was an absolute beast, and I thought, right, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to read The Gum Thief, because that was a recommended book, and that's fine, that's a book, I'll read the book, I'll still review a book, because I can't get through that between now and Sunday, there's just no way at all.
No, of course not, no.
They didn't have that. I was like, that's fine, it was the best side, it's Copeland, I'll get it at a supermarket tonight. I went to 2 supermarkets, 12% of one of the bookshelves filled with only Jeremy Clarkson, I have to add. It had none of the books on. I couldn't find any of them, so I thought, right, panicking now. Do you need to read something before the weekend? Any of them will do. At least I'll review a book. Went to another bookstore. Nothing. It got to the point where I was getting on the train this morning, went to the bookstore in the station, in Central Station, a famous bookstore, and they didn't have a single one of the books. None of the 4. And not even Copeland.
I'll be honest with you, I'm searching around in that for an excuse. And so far I haven't seen one. Apparently you cannot get any books in the north. That's what I seem to have found.
Lot, doesn't
and
it?
Apparently also not in London, is what I've heard from that. Frankly, it's a shambles. It's a shambles. What happened with your tooth? That was making it so agonising? That's horrible. I don't bring. What happened then? How did it go, the tooth business?
I was doing a medical trial, so
Yeah.
I think I was actually given the drug because it was a double blind. So I didn't know whether I was getting the drug or the placebo. And I went a little bit spacey for a while, to the point where when they were starting to do the stuff on my mouth, I was laughing. So I think that was actually quite good.
Right.
But then it all got a bit scary, and I asked permission to cry. And then as soon...
I think you're just allowed, aren't you? I don't know.
think so. But because I was lying on my back, I had tears in my ears. And I couldn't...
Tears in your
I was thinking of a
ears?
Tears for Fears song, because there were tears in my ears. And it all got dead confusing in my mind, to the point where when she took the tooth out, I immediately went into shock. So it wasn't a great Monday. So I was like shaking and crying. And the dental nurse was going, if Ewan McGregor was here, you wouldn't be crying. And I'm thinking, that's so random. And
If
it was
Ewan
just really
McGregor
odd.
wasn't here?
If Ewan McGregor was here, you wouldn't be crying.
Is that the only sort of young person film star that she's heard of?
I don't know. I was just watching. She kept coming out with really odd stuff. But anyway, so that was a bit scary. And then I kept spitting blood into a carrier bag for like the best part of 2 days.
Yeah.
My pillows are wrecked. It wasn't great. I couldn't have read a book. I was feeling sorry for myself, sucking powdered potato off a spoon.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of questions now floating around in my head, a lot of thoughts. You know, are you coming back next week? being the chief one.
You should blame my mum, because she was sent out to get said book on Friday, and she sent me a text message saying,
your mother didn't volunteer to be on the radio, did she? As far as I can
Love you,
recall.
Mum.
So hang on, Harry's let us down. He's been a school friend for years. He knows, he's been here, but he's let me down. Sammy, she won a competition. She's just lucky to even be in London, but she's let me down. Super Posh Rufus, you've got a fan site. Have you let me down, mate?
Steve, what do you think, mate?
Of course you bloody haven't, mate. I can see the book right there. Round of applause for him. Come on. Listen, we'll play a tune. We're going to come back with your book review. And do you know what? As a little reward, I'm going to allow you to plug your current TV show.
Thanks,
all
mate.
right?
It's Harry's choice.
Oh, God. What do you know what? Quickly, because no one's interested in you anymore, Har.
Well, I'd already doubled my workload for the week, so I'd already picked an obscure indie nonsense track, and then I had to pick another pop track, which I heard first when I was 12 years old when it came out, and I loved it, and I never bought it, and then for years I couldn't find it anywhere, and I went to a record fair and I bought 3 copies of it once, because I really love it, and it's one of my favourite songs, and it's by George Harrison. Well, this version is Got My Mind Set on You.
reading a review of the recent Eric Clapton autobiography, and of course Clapton famously worked hard to steal away George Harrison's wife in the early 70s, and I currently feel like I know how George Harrison must have felt. Betrayed, let down, disappointed by a person he thought was a friend.
Yeah.
I feel a bit like the American people when Richard Nixon had been involved in Watergate. Again, betrayed, let down. I feel like Carl Barrett when he found Pete Doherty nicking his guitars or whatever in his house. Again, a friend has betrayed and let me down. Do you know why? Because I'm looking at you, Harry, I'm looking at you, Sammy, and I'm seeing just darkness behind your eyes.
Steve, the BBC wouldn't have paid for the books. We wouldn't have been paid by the hour for reading the books. You know, we're busy people.
Well, yeah, let me see. There's one person in the room who seems to have found the time, and it's Rufus. Little round of applause again. This is the reason he has his own fan page.
He's an actor, he doesn't do anything.
This is the reason he has a fan page. What is the book, Rufus, that you... I mean, sorry, guy, I don't want to put you on the spot, mate, but, I mean, what do you currently make of these two? What's your opinion of them? Colleagues. Friends, colleagues.
Well... Yeah, colleagues.
Professionals? Would you say professionals?
Colleagues are people who work at the same place that you do.
Hey, can we have
You have a job, Rufus.
Can we have a high five?
Do I have it?
Oh, right
Do
over
I
my
have
head.
a
That,
job?
that makes
The
you
two
feel low.
slackers high five. You know, let's chat about what was on Jeremy Kyle this week, which you're probably sat around watching in your pants.
Yeah. Do you know what? You're like the drummer and the bassist in a given band. You're contributing nothing, but you want half the cash. Oh,
Can I have half the
it's
cash?
like Rourke and Joyce.
I thought, give me an eighth of the cash and I'll read every book that's ever been written.
Ooh, hang on. Ooh, look at that. Now the truth's coming out. Interesting.
The book is Ian McEwan's On Chesil Beach.
Right.
You've got two options. The listeners have two options, but Steve, I'm going to leave it to you. You get the Radio 4 bit where I read out the review that I've written, or I get to talk through the review in a chatty way and you get to ask questions during it.
I'm quite intrigued to hear what you've written, because I love the fact you've actually typed something out.
Yeah,
This is magnificent. There you are. That's actual homework.
Yeah,
A page of A4. Well, time's against us, so maybe
Maybe
rattle
Sammy
through
and
it.
Harry could read it out.
No. You've done the work, man. You should take the glory.
No, I'm embarrassed to read it out, and I'm going to paraphrase it.
You sure? I really would like to hear it read out.
Really?
As Bob Dylan.
Well, paragraph 1 is Bob, paragraph 2 Nelson Mandela.
Definitely. I
No,
wouldn't do
just read it out in your best voice, your best posh
I'm
voice.
now embarrassed that I've announced it. McEwan, I'm too embarrassed. McEwan is a master of the closely observed moment. That's how it begins.
That's magnificent. It starts so beautifully.
Yeah,
It can only get better.
From the events of one evening or a day, he can construct a narrative which shows exactly the situation as it is, give the reasons for it happening with a series of flashbacks, and show the consequences.
Listen, mate, this is dynamite. But what
Yeah.
I'm thinking is, because time's against us, you should offer us it in paraphrased version.
Yeah.
We can pop this on the web so people can
That's
read
a
it
nice idea.
at their own leisure.
That is a nice
Perhaps
idea.
you could illustrate it.
It's what I'm going to skip to my conclusion. It will take no more than a day to read this book maximum, because it's only about 150 pages long and it's big writing. I'd really, really recommend people read this book because it puts the 1960s in the context of the 20th century very deliberately. It's about a young couple on their wedding night, and they've got the kind of sexual mores of their parents. They don't know anything about sex, and it's their wedding night, and they're in bed, and it's terrifying and very frightening. But it's the same era of the Beatles and the Stones and kind of political consciousness and student rebellion and everything else. So it's about these two young people experiencing the kind of the terror of that moment and the tragic misunderstanding of what happens on their wedding night. So, in fact, there's no need to read the review. That's what you should worry about. The book is wonderful, beautifully written.
Do you know what? Right now, I could kiss that man. Do you know why? Because he's done his job, right? He has come on this radio programme prepared. He has offered a wonderful... He's already made this potentially award-winning, single-handedly. Plus, he's a good-looking fella. All reasons why Sammy and Harry should now kiss him.
Harry, do you want to get one so you can get the
Do I have to?
There you are.
Will we be forgiven?
Yes, you will be forgiven for this.
I'm not going to kiss him.
Harry, kiss him. We're going to be forgiven.
Oh,
That's nice.
that is going to be beautiful on the webcam. Now then, on the lips. No, okay, right, no, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And consequently, you get to, as I say, plug your TV show.
Ladies and gentlemen, The Memoirs of Fanny Hill, written by John Cleland, adapted by Andrew Davies. Not quite award-winning, but probably future award-winning. It's on BBC4 at 9 p.m. on Monday night and stars Rufus as a stammering, scenery-chewing Mr. Norbert.
So it's not been on yet. Have I missed your performance yet? No, I haven't. So it's coming up this week.
Part 1 was on last Monday. Part 2, the concluding part, is on tomorrow night.
I'm looking forward to this enormously. Okay, this guy's going to come in and play for us next week. It's Johnny Flynn, his tune called The Box. That's Johnny Flynn, and he'll be here on the Steve Show next week, playing live for us in the studio. Okay, that's pretty much it. I should just let you know my review of Indra Sinner's Animals, People. I'll be honest with you, I've only read 11 pages. I've been busy. I've been busy. I've got other stuff to do.
Sit on Rufus's face.
Oh, okay. So we wanted to quickly get a final tally. How many people have joined Rufus's Facebook fan page since the beginning of the show?
It's up to 81 now, Steve. They've been chatting away all day. There's 51 wall posts, but ominously for Rufus, the very last post says, right, that's it. Who's doing the Harry group? I will if no one else is up for it. So next week could be a little bit of a challenge.
Interesting. That's very, very exciting indeed. Yeah, let's hope they're not book lovers, though, because they will be sorely disappointed.
I think they're all students, so they're not.
Almost certainly. They're the only ones who've got time to do such things. The rest of us busy with stuff. I was putting up some shelving, bought it at IKEA. It was half term. Murder down there. Absolute murder. I don't know why I went down there. It was
Do you
crazy.
have a hot dog?
Yeah, I did actually. Thanks very much for asking. All right, listen, we have to go. I will leave you with Big Star and 13. Art Bruce, Eddie Argos, people from Black Box Recorder, Luke Haynes, etc., doing their Christmas number 1. I guess it's a novelty song. A lot of people say there's no place for novelty songs in my life. Is there one in your life, James King? Because, I mean, it seems to me that if anyone's going to appreciate a Christmas tune, it's you. There's not been a decent Christmas tune for a long time, has there?
I mean, you know I love the Christmas tunes. December the 1st, out comes the greatest Christmas album in the world ever.
Yeah.
Always skip Gary Glitter, Another Rock and Roll Christmas. Enjoy all the others.
Are we not allowed to listen to that anymore?
Love all the others.
Is it even on that album still?
It is, yeah. Well, on my copy,
on
it is,
your
yeah.
copy, yeah.
Yeah, I do love a Christmas song, but this one, I think The Darkness is probably the one before that. A few years ago, which was actually someone releasing a new Christmas song, but it have to be done a little bit silly now. Oh, it's so funny releasing a Christmas song. We're going to do it a bit tongue-in-cheek. And I want a genuine Christmas song. You know, when the classics that are on all these compilations that we hear back-to-back all the time at Christmas, they weren't doing them as a laugh. They did them because they genuinely thought they were great.
Yeah.
And, although I like it, I'm a bit disappointed it has to be done, oh, we're so funny, we're so arch, we're going to send up the Christmas song. Just do a great Christmas song.
Well, I mean, it's a view that probably echoes my feelings. We're in agreement there. But what about you, Tiny Sammy?
Oh no, have I shrunk into
Because you're
miniature
sat on a very low
proportions?
chair then.
Is it because of the low chair, or is it now I'm such an old lady I'm actually shrinking?
You are, you're beginning to curl up.
I completely agree with James. Don't take the mick out the Christmas song. It's sacred. I kept thinking if they didn't have the jingle bells in the background, it would have been a really interesting song, and I quite like the talking and the weirdness. But sacred Christmas cannot be touched. Santa Claus's birthday must be celebrated and kept special. And
The
it
little baby
shouldn't be
Santa
mocked.
Claus.
Yes,
Yeah,
he was still had a
little baby
beard
Santa
in that
Claus.
manger.
Absolutely.
But no, that's the thing I really wanted to enjoy, because I love both the artists, and it was good and it was going somewhere, but I didn't like the fact they were taking the mick.
I'm beginning to think that this is going to be a common thought from all of you people there. Anyone not thinking the same?
I'm going to buck the trend. I loved it. My worry with Christmas songs, and I think about this for about mid-November onwards, is are there going to be enough decent Christmas songs to fill the best Christmas in the world ever albums?
Sure.
And why do songs like Stay Another Day always get known as Christmas songs just because they were Christmas number 1s? There's no Christmas references in that song.
Well, yeah, but there is kind of bells and so on, isn't there?
Yeah, true.
They were dressed up as Eskimos in the video. Snowy, innit? You know.
Yeah. Anyway,
Plus, Eskimos dress like Eskimos all year round, surely.
Inuits, come on, don't be racist. But also, of course, now that we've lost glitter from those collections, we've got to...
we've
got
lost
to put something
glitter.
else.
There's other artists on those albums who may, at some stage, be accused of something they may or may not have done.
Yeah.
Cliff Richard, Mistletoe and Wine is a wonderful, wonderful tune.
Yeah.
If it ever disappeared from any of those albums, I'd be very upset.
Like all of us.
For some reason, yeah.
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 I imagine what he might have done.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, with the
64046, if you've got any clues as to what Cliff Richard might have done. Tiny Dan.
Jane's absolutely right, yeah, no need for the irony. And the riff nicked from Remember You're a Womble, Mike Batt.
Oh, that's a big accusation. Be careful.
No, it's not.
All right. And Harry, quickly.
Like Art Brute, like Black Box Recorder, didn't like that.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for getting your views heard, Harry. 64046, if you want to get in touch with us for any reason, I don't know why. If you've got any secrets, any behind-the-scenes information on any of the people you might find on a Christmas album, we'd love to hear from. It's a Steve Show, BBC6 Music with me, Stephen Merchant. Thank you very much indeed for tuning in. Some big news in the world of Super Posh Rufus. He's told me what it is. I'm thrilled for him. I'm going to throw it open now to the gang here. Any ideas what the big news is, Harry?
Well, I've scribbled down 3 that I think it could be.
Okay.
There's the obvious, Mrs. Up the Stick.
Is your Mrs. Up the Stick? It's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
It's charmingly put, Harry.
Yeah.
The answer's no.
Okay, number 2 I've got, taking over from Stephen Fry as the new face of Twining's Tea.
That would be brilliant.
Would. I was a heavy pencil, but it didn't. It went away, as my agent.
We don't know your missus isn't up the stick. I mean, who knows?
Yeah,
I don't know.
she
It's always
could
worth
be.
checking
If you
every
came in
day.
drunk last night, who knows what happened?
We don't know what she's doing right now.
Yeah.
The third one is your hair had a flop off against Hugh Grant's hair, and your hair won.
Again, that's not true, but maybe it will one day be true.
Oh, that's it. I'm out.
Twinings. I wouldn't mind going for that gig. Twinings.
I can see you advertising tea, Steve, because
Yeah.
you're quite a comfortable kind of English celebrity now.
Thank you.
A warm personality that people kind of like to cuddle up next to.
Do you think so?
I think so, in a way. There's nothing hostile or threatening about your celebrity.
Sure. I'm avuncular.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In the same way that Alan Davies is.
Yeah, exactly.
someone like
Or
that.
perhaps Alan Titchmarsh.
Yes, exactly. All the Allens.
Exactly.
They're all great.
So none of those are right. Wife not up stick, floppy hair, Twinings. None of that's going on.
Twinings
Sammy,
contract not come through.
what do you think the big news is in Rufus's life?
Rufus very generously said I could use his pen. So I'm guessing it might have something to do with money if he's willingly able to proffer stationery in such a way. So I was going to say a big campaign. I think you may be the voice of something. You've got a good voice. Or a part in a film.
A part in a film?
If this was through the keyhole, that might have got a round of applause from the
I got a
audience.
smatter. Marvellous.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so maybe it involves either the voice of something or a part in a film. One of the two.
Jude's
okay.
looking-
Jude, shout it out. You're not on the mic.
I had got a big film, and I got a long-running part in the bill after the cameos you filmed this week.
So did you say big film? Part in big film?
Big
Is that what you
film,
said?
not a bit of a
I think that's a little round of applause.
Yeah.
Dad, any ideas what Rufus's big news might
I
be?
don't want to say anything because I know what it is.
Oh, you know what it is already? Okay.
okay.
Well, maybe you should just give away this big news.
Well, my big news is I've got a part in the new James Bond movie.
What about that? That's better than your wife being up the duff. Your wife to be, I should say. I do apologise.
Yeah.
Yes, a part in the new James Bond film. Can you say anything?
I can't talk about the plot or anything. Not that I know a huge amount. But I'm playing a kind of a Treasury agent, Foreign Office grunt who.
Are you quite posh?
Yeah, I think we can reliably.
This is going to be a stretch.
Yeah. But I've got a scene with Judi Dench and Daniel Craig.
Oh, lovely, lovely
Will
Judy.
Craigie have his shirt off again? Isn't that all he did in the last film? As far as I
Yeah,
can
he
tell?
did. Maybe I'll take mine off. I don't know.
Ooh, a round of applause. And so you can't say too much, but is it? It's you hand over a folder or a file?
It's similar to my last appearance in a big blockbuster.
Yeah, you were, of course, in the Robert Redford film Spy Game, an excellent film if you've not seen it, and you appear briefly in that and hand Robert Redford a folder. Is that right?
Yes, and we have a brief dialogue about whether or not you can smoke in the CIA headquarters anymore.
Can you?
Apparently not.
Oh,
My
okay.
character tells him.
Interesting.
And in this, I have a similarly kind of minor amount of information to impart to M.
Right. Is it
but,
vital plot information, or could you hit the cutting room floor?
That's what I'm terrified of. I think it's pretty vital, and I'm staking my reputation as a super posh actor that it will stay in the final cut.
Great.
The film is as yet unnamed. Bond 22 is how it's being referred to.
Okay, yeah.
So hitting your screen sometime in 2009, I would imagine.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So we are all
Can we all go to the premiere?
I'll see what I can do. Yeah.
That's a huge thrill. Let's have another little round of applause as we congratulate that. Formed in Brighton in the late 80s and featuring former Wedding Present drummer Sean Carman. That's the Pop Guns and their 1989 single Waiting for the Winter. It's the Steve Show, BBC6 Music, with me, Steve Merchant, and also we've got Harry works in a bank. What's the joke? Share it. Come on, you're all giggling away. They're trying to stifle it as I'm doing a serious link. What's going on?
Well, what happened is Rufus was dishing out the munchies while the chat was on, and so I took a munchie, offered one to Jude. Jude said, "Oh no," but then I don't mind. I've not got to go on a microphone in 19 seconds, and you've got a munch in your mouth. So I, disposed of mine quite quickly. And Ruth said, "Where's yours? Have you still got it? Is it in your hand?" I said, "Well, no, I swallowed it like a duck." Like that,
right?
He must have thrown it back and thrown his head back, snapped it back. and it gone straight down his throat.
And this has tickled you. You're in hysterics,
she's really
Sammy.
struggling.
I mean, it's like you've never seen or heard anything as funny.
He just seems so proud of himself. Oh, and I really thought you'd eaten a munchie hole. Well, that's me for the day. That's all I need to see. I come to the big city, and that's sorted me.
Pull yourself together, woman, all right? Come on. This show has already become deeply self-indulgent. We should try and rescue it quickly. Last week, you may recall that I was a nominee in the 2007 Weird Crush.
This will turn it round.
Heat Magazine's Weird Crush 2007. It was my good self. I was up against James May of Top Gear.
Yeah.
I was up against Anton de Beek.
ADB.
Yeah, ADB. And who was the other
he's
fellow?
called Tony Beak.
Tony Beak.
Yeah, apparently that's his real name.
We could have used that as a dynamite link from the Duck thing. That would have been fantastic. If only we'd known.
The other one was the rubber-faced clown Matthew Wright.
Matthew Wright, yes. So we had Matthew Wright, and anyway, I can reveal in the current edition of Heat Magazine the winner of 2007, the Weird Crush, and I'm pleased to announce it is James May.
Check out that jumper.
James May there, who I believe, Sammy, you've got a soft spot for. Didn't you say that he would be your Weird Crush 2007?
Out of the 3 other people, yes, because the other 3 were weird.
That's me!
No,
What do you mean the other 3?
You shouldn't have been counted
Oh, I
as a
see,
weird
right.
crush was my point.
Yes.
The other 3 were weird, so yes, I can understand it. Out of the other 3, yes, he's the best.
So do you feel... I mean, I don't know whether to feel hurt that I wasn't Weird Crush 2007, or...
He looks like he smells of dogs.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and his cars do as well. Real stench of
That's
dogs.
disgusting.
I think people spoiled their ballot paper when it came to you, Steve, because they thought, May, right... This guy isn't... he shouldn't be on the list. I'm not voting for him. Spoil the ballot paper, tear it up. That's what
When they saw my face?
Yeah.
I would like to see myself perhaps on a list with some more traditional hunks. Johnny Depp, Jesse Whatnot from Desperate
Metcalf.
Housewives, Jesse Metcalf, and, some other, I don't know, Gordon Brown, whoever's the thinking ladies' crumpet of late. But no, I was on that list. But you feel... I mean, should I feel bad that I didn't win? I just don't know. I don't know where I feel like...
I'll be honest, I feel bad for you.
Thanks.
I don't think that's particularly fair, but maybe you're right. Maybe people have just taken offence. It's such a handsome man, as yourself, has been put amongst those other
Correct.
facial freaks.
Why is Sammy doing all the work here, guys? You're very silent. Rufus, you know something about good looks. You're not a bad-looking fella. You got the floppy hair, that sort of generic posh look. What was your take on it? Would you feel hurt if you hadn't won it?
No, I think you should be pleased to have won it. I think it would have been a disappointing thing to have won. James May's not going to be going, look at me, I won Weird Crush 2007. He's not going to be bragging. Plus, if I tell you how good looking you are, I may be in danger of being accused of being having an agenda towards you in some way.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you're a bit homophobic. We've got a racist and a homophobe in the room. Extraordinary. What's your sin, Harry?
I just hate everyone.
That's true enough. Okay, we have to get on with the show because we've got other stuff coming up. Plus, we got a recommendation from one of our listeners. Before that, though, we'll have a tune from David Ford, who we're negotiating. Are we currently in negotiations? Maybe we'll get him on the show next week. Yeah. That'll be good, and he'll play for us. Hopefully, will he? You're not just coming in chat. We're not interested in that. He'd bring his guitar. Yeah. So hopefully, maybe, fingers crossed, there'll be some David Ford next week. If not, enjoy this in the meantime. Decimate. David Ford Decimate, who Mad Jude is currently negotiating with to see if we can lure him here into the studio to play live for us maybe next week. I'm not sure Mad Woman is the woman to negotiate with anyone, but she is the only person who can be bothered to do some work for the show. The rest of us just turn up at the weekend. Oh, come on, Harry. I asked you to go to the BBC6 Music Christmas party this week. Did you go?
No, because I was seeking out new music the night before and I was too tired.
What new music were you seeking out?
I went to see Las Vegas.
No, you didn't go to see Las Vegas. You went to see the band that they happen to be supporting.
Well, that's true. But I saw Las Vegas, which is more than you did.
Yeah, but I was sick, wasn't I, all week? I was unwell, mate. Listening at home to new music. Endless new music.
Yeah.
But
Las Vegas were great, though.
Were they?
Well, they're okay. They're a bit like the Jesus and Mary chain. But the great thing was, the singer, because they're still at that stage where they do their own roadieing, he came on and tuned up his guitar, and he just looked like some old guy on stage tuning up the guitar.
You were booing him, obviously.
Yeah, we were like, come on, get the sexy young band on. So he wanders off, and the lights go down, the band come on, and the lead singer is him, just with a really cheap pair of shades on. It's like he's expecting no one's going to recognise the fact that it was just him shambling around with the effects pedals.
So how old is he?
Well, he looked really old.
What
I
a
don't
loser.
think he is.
Who wants rock music from an oldie?
Well, exactly.
Boo. Okay, so if you weren't seeking out new music, but you had an excuse, did you go to the Six Music Party, Rufus? I did ask you.
I spent all Thursday recording voiceovers for a listening exam for people learning English.
Oh, wow.
So could there potentially be a listener here? Is it something that people might have in this country? Or is it
Well, it's for teaching English as a foreign language. There's people here listening to language tapes. So I spent
could be your voice.
most of Thursday going, answer question 4 and then question 5. Things like that, again and again and again, all Thursday afternoons. Too tired to listen to new music in the evening, or to go to the Six Music Party.
What sort of phrases would you say?
Short. I'm doing quite a lot of this at the moment. Quite short snatches of dialogue, little scenes, and quite a lot of listen to the conversation and fill in the blanks in the box. Question number 2, A. Things like that.
Right, just endless.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Hours of it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's good fun.
Well, I look forward to hearing that. Maybe
Okay.
you could bring that in. We could play that one week.
Nice.
For the last half of the show. We've normally run out of steam by then. Why not? Just whack it on. And Sammy, I don't think you had a chance. You were up in the north. There's no way you could go to the Six Music Party.
I was heading down on it takes me that long to get here because obviously I trek every week, so I'd started to come here.
Jude, did you go?
Yes.
Was it brilliant?
Brilliant.
Was it? Did we miss out?
Yes.
Oh, well, life goes on.
Live music.
On Six Music.
That's extraordinary. Yeah.
What's going
Is
on?
there any way we can put that on the web right
Well,
now?
I don't know. I mean, just for the people out there, there's a picture on Facebook that I've been tagged in.
Yeah.
And it's from New Year's Eve, where I'm with a couple of friends, and I
Even
I
your
swear
glass
to you,
looks little.
I am about the same size as them. The guy
What,
on
in
the
real
right,
life?
You know the guy on the right who dwarfs me in this picture?
Yeah.
I'm about the same size as him, honestly.
Are you like?
And yet I look
300 yards
I look
away?
like a hobbit. I look like a hobbit next to
You
What's
do
going
look
on?
like a hobbit.
I don't know.
That's extraordinary. We've got to put that on the web.
Yeah.
Sure, we may want to pixelate their faces out,
Yeah.
just so that because we don't obviously get their permission. But it's your grin as well. It's like you're quite pleased with being that. You don't realise anything's untoward here.
Yeah.
You're just going about your business. Little do you realise that the camera is capturing your true titchiness.
It's like they've won you or something.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
I went swimming in that champagne glass later that night.
But look at the size of the champagne glass compared. That's what's
I
weird
know.
as well.
It's half the size of my torso.
Yeah.
What's going on? What is
You
going
are
on? Am I shrinking? I don't know.
Absolutely extraordinary. Well, listen, maybe I know that you are an incredibly physically tiny man, but you've got a vast intellect, Dad,
Yes.
haven't you?
Oh, what a segue.
Well, that's
Yes.
extraordinary.
Yeah, it's enormous. It's
So I'm
enormous.
looking for stuff that will be of cultural or intellectual interest to Brian Grazer. Again, like I said when we had to get Kate Where Kate Fine, I like it when a sentence is said on this show that's never been said before. And I'm almost certain that there's no other radio programmes in this country that are currently concerned with the intellectual well-being of Brian Grazer. But anyway, we are, and that's the nature, that's
Yes.
the excuse for this week's show.
Yes.
And Dan, what can you offer that might be of interest to Brian?
Well, this is interesting actually because it's more in the world of science than that of the arts. And I apologise already because there's some quite complicated stuff, but I've tried to distill it to the very, very simple basics.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with nuclear quantum theory,
Ooh.
of course, which very briefly deals with trying to understand very, very tiny things, atoms, molecules, myself,
Sure.
obviously that sort of thing. So the theory of really, really tiny atoms contradicts the theory of the universe,
Sure.
as propagated by Einstein. It doesn't quite match up, and physicists and scientists have always been trying to work out why that is, and they've
Yeah.
never quite solved it. The great minds, Hawking, Vorderman, Goody,
Yeah.
none of them have cracked it.
Yeah.
So at the right now, as we're speaking, right now in Switzerland, there's a tunnel which links Switzerland to France.
Right.
But scientists have colonised it, and they've built what can only be described as a large hadron collider.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's the only way I can describe it, Steve.
Are they going to be bashing Goody against Vorderman in an effort to see if they can kind of meld together in one giant brain?
Kind of. What they're going to do, and again, the science comes in here, but they're going to take small particles in this space, they're going to accelerate them, it gives them information that they can use, and they're hoping to find out about this mysterious component called the Higgs boson,
Okay.
which apparently, if discovered, might help us understand the entire universe.
That's useful. That's handy.
Now, they're going to try this later on this year. There is one side effect,
Right.
one downside. It's possible that when they turn it on, it may cause the destruction of the entire universe.
Right.
So that's a downside.
Sounds like a title for some new music. No, sorry, hang on. It might cause the end of the world, right? That's a little bit of a worry.
Yeah, not
isn't
just
it?
the world, the universe.
Oh, the entire universe?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm pretty certain that BG is interested at this point.
Yeah.
He was dozing off earlier. He didn't get the Vorderman reference, but Brian's ears have perked up.
He's buzzing now.
Yeah, he's thinking, is there a movie in it, is what he's thinking.
Yeah.
But, so the world could end, I mean, as far as I'm aware with this story, we could generate a black hole, probably when we switch on the machine.
I believe so,
and
yeah.
the
Which
world
will
gets
suck
sucked into
the
it.
entire world. It becomes sort of antimatter and everything will be destroyed. And possibly take the whole universe with it.
Yeah. And when are they going to switch that on?
Well, it's sometime this year. I'm not sure exactly when. It might be in the summer.
Well,
Which
it
would be a
was
shame.
planned for November 26th last year.
Oh, was it?
Because I heard about it and got really upset because that was the day before my 21st birthday. I wasn't upset that the whole universe might be destroyed. I might miss my own party.
Yeah.
That's what I was gutted about.
Couldn't they at least wait, another
Exactly.
week? Sure.
So they have put it off. So I'm hoping they are eventually just going to not do it. There's no need to reenact the Big Bang. We're here. Let's accept it. Let's move on.
Wait a minute, does Bono know about this?
No, he doesn't. But Bob Geldof does.
Does he?
He apparently said that the meaning of life is life itself.
Right.
So that's Bob Geldof's take on it, and
Great.
he was in Live Aid and the Boomtown Rats.
So it's come May time. We should
Yeah, I'm not
seriously
sure if
think
it's
about.
May, but certainly the summer, and they say it's unlikely, but who knows?
I think we've got some, because I'm instantly thinking is we should have some giant sort of Steve Show anticipatory, photon processing button thing pressing, a countdown. But also, I got you to know what you would do the day before it gets switched on. I'm thinking we should probably go berserk.
A couple of ideas.
Have a think about that. We'll talk about it in a sec. Got to squeeze in some more music before the news. It's good that even the most lofty of intellectual ideas we can reduce to an amusing radio chat.
Nice.
Anyway, here's a new tune from Son of Dave. Old times were good times. Okay, so I asked you just before that tune. I'm trying to keep Brian paying attention. I know he's a busy man. He's probably reading through or having someone read him a hot new movie script. What is odd about the 1969 film Krakatoa East of Java? Your eyes lit up, Rufus.
I was wondering if it was something to do with the kind of Ray Harryhausen style animation monsters.
No, but a very solid answer. Any thoughts from anyone else?
It's not a funny one, but isn't Krakatoa west of Java?
Only Tiny Dan's got it.
Geography.
Knowledge. Yeah.
I am buzzing.
Which seems a very sloppy error, and I think, again, something that a film producer should be wary of.
Yeah.
Surely it could be east or west. Anything can be east or west of anywhere.
It's no, because it's Krakatoa east of. And if you go all the way around the world the other way, yeah. Well, yeah, but it's still a perverse thing to do, isn't it? Really,
pervert.
I don't know why. Yeah. Everyone point at Harry and accuse him of being a pervert. Ooh, pervert, pedo. Just to see what it's like, Harry. All right, that was just so you could see what it's like, just to keep you on the straight and narrow.
What's Brian going to say?
What is Brian going to say?
Never going to employ him there.
We can cut that bit out for Brian.
All right.
Yeah, Brian's not going to have you in the house. Harry, you pervert.
What, has he got kids?
Okay, good. Right, focus. Please focus. It's not a laughing matter. So, Super Posh Rufus, if there's one man that can raise the tone, it's you. And obviously, if there's one guy here who will, as I say, be able to charm Brian, it's you. A man who I suspect, a lot of rich Americans, they're very attracted to British high society, but of course they can never truly be a part of it.
No.
And you're a man, I guess, who could perhaps smooth the way for Brian.
Well, that's a nice way of putting it, Steve. And I like the way you'll turn to me in times of crisis in the studio as well. Everyone's cracking jokes, things are getting suggested that aren't necessarily legal.
Yes.
And I'm very much the firm hand on the rudder.
Yes.
I think sometimes.
Yes.
That's
not. Look, shut up, Jude.
On,
you filth. That's not a euphemism.
It was Sammy.
It's not a euphemism.
Look sharp, team. That worked. Anyway, Steve, I was reminded actually that my poshness is something that I'm frequently in denial of. I know I'm a gentleman of some chivalric standing, but I'm always in denial of my own posh, and I always reserve the right.
Because you are riddled with posh.
I'm riddled with posh, but I like to laugh down my sleeve at people posher than me.
Okay.
And impersonate them.
Yes.
And I was playing football this week, and I was in the changing rooms in South London, and there were these two boys who were both about 19 years old, and they were smart. Much faster than me. It was I said, God, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe we beat that team. They were so good. And one of them said, I bet there's an Elterovian on the team. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Which makes me think they're probably from Eton, because Eton and Harrow have this thing going on. I didn't go to either of those schools. I'm not nearly that posh, So they were going, oh my God. And then one of them said, I'm so unfit. Why am I so unfit? And one of them said, well, it's because you don't do any exercise. This morning I went for a ride. He doesn't mean on a bicycle, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't mean on a bicycle. I went for a ride, I went for a run, and I played football. And I thought, just looking at these guys thinking, they are so... I can't believe it. Put my bag over my shoulder, walked out, and they went, excuse me. And I turned around and they said, you dropped a cufflink.
Oh, fantastic.
So there's me giving it the, can't believe how posh they are. And then I turn around, what do they want? Oh, yeah, cool, sorry, yeah. And a solid silver cufflink was pressed firmly into my hand.
A solid silver cufflink. Interesting that even in your attempts to downplay your poshness, you've reminded us it was solid silver. Presumably inherited from perhaps some great uncle who's an earl of something or other.
Something like that.
Your poshness, have we ever queried your poshness? Have we ever called in? Because what we need really is some kind of Rufus family tree that proves your poshness.
Oh, yeah, I ought to bring something in, really, just to kind of,
Do you have a coat of arms? Does your family have a coat of arms?
Yes. But it's a recent coat of arms. Yeah, Jude's got one as well. She's very proud, Jude of hers.
Yeah, but Jude's got it off the internet.
Yeah, she did. She put her name in.
I'm just going to play another tune, which is your musical choice this week, and then we'll come out and we'll see if you can provide something directly to Brian that can kind of enter Brian straight in the brain.
Yeah.
Care of you.
Yeah.
But what's your musical choice this week?
This actually is also a suggestion from directly from a listener. A guy called Aaron Harton got in contact with me, and it's months since he asked for this tune. So Aaron, if you're not listening anymore, I'm very sorry, but here it is finally. He always loved the cover thing we used to do, and occasionally still do. And this is a cover of a Bee Gees track by Feist, and it's called Inside and Out.
Thank you. From his 1970 Moondance album, that's Van Morrison, of course, and Into the Mystic. Steve Show, Six Music with me, Steve Merchant. So, Rufus, you brought a couple of interesting-looking books there. I can't help but notice one of them's called The Last Englishman.
That's right. We're going to get onto that one, Steve. These are two books that I've stolen from my mother's charity book fair for the Elizabeth Finn Trust for Distressed Gentlefolk.
You've stolen them?
Yes, I have.
That seems appropriate.
Yeah, exactly. This, the first book I've decided to... I'm not doing a book review like we did towards the end of last year, but I do want to draw this book to your attention. It's called Coastwise Cruising.
Coastwise Cruising. Okay.
And the author of the book, I'm just going to remove this post-it note here. The author of the book, can you read his name out?
Wow, Tim Sex. Tim Sex.
That's right.
Coastwise Cruising.
And
now, is it? It's just because on the cover there's a bunch of people who are sort of fairly easygoing, but on a boat, perhaps cruising across the English Riviera.
Riviera.
the Riviera. And so there's a slight suggestion that it could be rude. I'm presuming it's not to do with cruising in any.
It's nothing to do
sense.
with cruising as you know, you and I know as urban
in the modern day. Yeah.
However, if you read the description, the first line on the back there. Just read that out.
How to pick up a boy in varying conditions is just one of the many aspects which the author describes. And, of course, on radio, the ambiguity there made all the more humorous. But, of course, it's boy, as in a boy that you would find floating in the water.
It is, yeah. How anybody could end up with the name Tim Sex, spelt simply S-E-X, and then to write a book about cruising just seems completely extraordinary.
Tim Sex? That just is the most extraordinary name ever. Is that a nom de plume?
I can't believe
Do you think his real name's Timothy Gonad? And you thought, that just sounds weird.
I think Marilyn Manson turned down Tim Sex as a stage name.
Yeah.
Tim Sex?
Too improbable. No one's going to believe that's my real name. But Tim Sex.
But they often, obviously, surnames are often supposedly derived from what your parents used to do.
Fletcher, Cooper and Thatcher
merchant,
and so on.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Although we can find no evidence of any single merchant in my family.
Really?
We did a little bit of digging around, and we're all paupers. There's not a single person who's risen above the the proper scabby working classes of the 19th century in my entire family. How we've got the name merchant, we've obviously just adopted it in an effort to sound classier. Rather like Tim Sex, who's probably a very dull man, spends a lot of time just in riverboats.
The other book I've got is a book by a man called A.D. Wintle, and it's called The Last Englishman.
A.D. Wintle? Of course.
As you know, Steve, being an Englishman is something I take very seriously.
Yes.
Being a gentleman and someone who pays close attention to chivalric code. this man is the most extraordinary person who's I've even opened a book by. A chapter begins with things like, it is impossible to be unhappy on the back of a horse. Every day I get on my knees and thank the good Lord for making me English.
Yes.
And this entry here, there are only 2 entries from my diary on 2 days in June 1919. June the 19th, Great War Peace signed at last. June the 20th, I declare private war on Germany. I was duty officer at the War Office when the announcement came through, and I immediately registered a vow to continue the fight. Whatever the rest of the world thought, I knew the war with Germany was not over. They were merely lying low.
Come 1939, he must have been so pleased with himself.
He was pleased at Punch. But he ends up in Wormwood Scrubs in the 1950s. It's quite an extraordinary story. And there are some pictures of Mr. Wintle here. He was a spy, lost a leg, lost an eye in the First World War. But I do, like you, Steve, I get on my knees every single day and thank the Lord
for being English. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice that you've been stealing things from charity events.
Yeah.
What have you stolen from a charity event? Well, I'll get in touch. 64846. We have to pause for a second because we need a musical choice from Sammy. We are racing towards the news. We've got to squeeze in some new music. And is this new or is this old?
It's fairly new. It's on a new music CD that I hawked somewhere, and they're a Geordie band, and I like promoting my Geordie acts. They're called the British Expeditionary Force, and you can find them on MySpace, and this song is there, and the song is called Crack in the Clouds.
Thank you. That's Sammy's choice on this week's Steve Show. What was it again, Sammy?
It's the British Expeditionary Force, and the song's called Crack in the Clouds.
Just talking about Tim Sex, the author of, what was it called? Country Cruising?
Coastwise
Cruising. What's curious is, as you say, that no one has no one in the publishing house ever sort of raised that as a possible query. We love the book, very happy with the pictures, excellent, it's all, talking about cruising is brilliant. Just one question. I know it's your name.
Yeah.
Wondering if there's any way just the idea that he's like, he doesn't understand what do you mean?
Yeah.
What, you don't like Tim? You don't like the name Tim? It's a perfectly English name. What are you talking about? It's not Timothy we've got a problem with. That's such a curious...
And I can't help but think that some of the sub-editors in the offices of this publisher must have just been getting as many things as they could onto the book jacket. I mean, even at the bottom of his biography it says he is well known for his vigorous and stimulating articles on seamanship.
Come on. Can we just say on seaman? Can we just say on seaman? No, you can't. Wow, Tim Sex. I'm just genuinely... The more I think about it, the more excited I am. I'm thinking maybe... Because I've always regretted not having a nom de plume myself. I've always thought it's silly, because Stephen Merchant's not that great a name, stage name and so on. Stephen Sex. That would be fantastic. That would make this the Sex Show. It would be fantastic.
Imagine if it was your real name as well. Imagine if you just said to a girl at a party, so what's your name? Well, my name's Steve Sex. Oh, yeah, nice one. You're not going to film me with... You're not going to give me with that. No, that's genuinely my real name. Here's my passport.
Oh, I wish I could talk further about Tim Sex, but we've got to squeeze in a bit more music before the news. Sorry about that. Fiona Apple.
Oh, nice.
Funny surname. Fiona Apple and Fast As You Can. We've got to go to the news, but Rufus, would you just remind people of the album that can be found on?
Yeah, that's on the album. When the pawn hits the conflicts, he thinks like a king. What he knows throws the blows when he goes to the fight, and he'll win the whole thing before he enters the ring. There's nobody to batter when you batter your mind as your might. So when you go solo, you hold your own hand. And remember, the depth is the greatest of heights. If you know where you stand, then you'll know where to land. If you fall, it won't matter because you know that you're right.
Thank you very much indeed. Just in case people didn't quite catch it, do you want to...
Yeah, sorry, that's from,
we've got to go to the news, but thank you. We'll be back after the news with Captain live in session.
On digital.